So a new chapter in U.S. relations with Cuba, raising hopes of closing an old wound. Authorities are still hopeful that Havana will extradite convicted police killer Joanne Chesimard. In 1973, she gunned down New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster in cold blood during a traffic stop, and she was sentenced by a jury to life in prison for that murder. But she escaped in 1979 and fled to Cuba. Her fugitive status landing her on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. She's the first woman on that list, and she is on that list today. Her presence in Cuba was hardly kept under wraps. Fidel Castro stuck up for her in 2005, calling Washington's portrayal of her as a terrorist, quote, an infamous lie. So all these years later, will Forster's family finally get the justice that they seek in the killer of their family member? Bernard Kerik is a former commissioner of the New York Police Department, and he joins me now. Well, it seems to me that if you've got somebody on a most wanted, the FBI's most wanted terrorist list, that you would have wanted to discuss that as part of any deal to normalize relations with Cuba, but there's no sign that that happened, is there?
Well, we haven't heard about it. When things like this go on, there's a lot that you won't hear, a lot of backdoor discussions, but I would hope that the State Department, that the FBI, that the Justice Department was counseling the president, talking to the president when he was making these decisions. Because Chesimard's not the only one. You have Willie Morales, the bomber that bombed a number of facilities in New York City. You have Charlie Hill, who killed a trooper in, I think, New Mexico, state trooper. And there's a bunch of fugitives that are hiding out there, but you have some really violent people that fled there, have been there for decades, and they have to come back here to serve their time.
And no doubt the families of these victims have been asking for a long time for these people to be extradited. You know, what's the response? Has this administration ever given them any feedback on what their feeling is about her case in particular? Nothing that we know of. We have tried for years. Rick Fuentes, who's the state police superintendent today, he actually worked on this case 30 years ago, trying to get her out of Cuba. You know, hopefully there's going to be so much pressure put on the Cuban government that she has to come back here. My fear is that she knows this is coming. All of them, they know this is coming. If Cuba opens up, I know a whole bunch of state troopers from New Jersey that'll volunteer to go grab her. So, you know, my fear is she tries to go somewhere else in the meantime, you know, to get away from this. Well, you mentioned a case of Susan Rosenberg, who was pardoned by Bill Clinton, and a lot of people felt that that was an unjust decision. Is there concern that any of these people would be pardoned, given what they have already been convicted of? There's a lot of rhetoric on social media right now that Chesimard and some of these others should be pardoned and just leave them alone. One, she murdered a New Jersey state trooper in cold blood. She shot another. She was involved in the shooting of another. She escaped from a New Jersey state prison. She's been on the lam for more than 30 years. Okay, she should be held accountable for her crime and brought back here. I would find it horrific if the administration pardoned her. I don't think the president would do that. I would hope not. You know, in the meantime, I guess everybody should make their feelings known about this case, because the window has opened for the possibility of these people being returned and serving out, in her case, the rest of her term, which she was sentenced to by a jury. So we hope that everybody makes their feelings known on this, and we'll see where we get. Bernie Kerik, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Good
Martha.
to have you here today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your book, too, The Lost Son. Thank you, Bernie.